Roadsides are some of the harshest environments for growing healthy stands of turf for aesthetics and erosion control. These environments often present many challenges, such as poor soils resulting from construction, a general lack of maintenance inputs, such as water and fertilizer, and many additional stresses, such as de-icing salts in areas that heat up due to impervious surfaces. As such, diagnosing and managing roadside turfgrass problems is a critical area to understand. In this module, we will provide an overview of common problems experienced during roadside turfgrass maintenance. This includes a discussion of both abiotic, or non-living problems, and biotic, or living problems. Following the overview of these problems, we will discuss a 7-step procedure for diagnosing these issues as they occur. From a simplified point of view, roadside turfgrass problems can be grouped into two main categories: abiotic and biotic problems. A majority of the problems experienced on roadsides are abiotic in nature and are not directly influenced by any living pest. The most common abiotic problem experienced on roadsides is construction on poor soils, resulting in compacted turf with minimal opportunity for root growth. Biotic problems would include any living pest type, such as damage to turf from disease or fungi, and insect damage. The fungus that causes red thread, the disease in the picture on the right, is a very good example of a disease that often occurs on cool season turfgrasses in low-maintenance environments. Abiotic turfgrass problems can be broken down into two distinct categories: issues related to the environment and management-related issues. Please take a moment to review this figure. Examples of environmental issues include microclimates, such as shade and heat sinks, or areas that attract and hold more heat, and soil problems that result in nutrient, compaction, or moisture issues. In Minnesota, we often see environmental issues related to extreme changes in weather patterns, such as temperature swings, floods, or drought. Management-related issues can be broken down into two categories: chemical damage and mechanical injury. Due to proximity of roadside turfgrasses to adjacent roadsides, salt overspray and fuel or oil spills can be a frequent occurrence. These chemicals may cause temporary or long-term damage to turfgrasses and soils. Mechanical injury is often related to mower scalping, which was discussed in Module 6, excessive wear or damage from snowplows. As you assess problems related to roadside turfgrass health, it's important to keep in mind that abiotic problems will always be the biggest factor leading to stress in turf on roadsides. Quite often, we see abiotic problems misdiagnosed as disease or insect issues, making it very important to understand why some of these abiotic issues occur. Because of the various abiotic issues experienced, they may occur suddenly or over a period of time. For example, damage from de-icing salts often occurs suddenly, while turf failure due to poor quality soils may occur over a longer period of time. The good news with abiotic problems is that they often have distinct patterns of damage, such as increasing salt damage closer to roadsides, localized compaction stress, damage in straight lines, and poor irrigation performance. This picture shows de-icing salt damage on a boulevard in Minnesota. Notice that damage symptoms are reduced further from the roadside. This is a typical appearance of boulevards and roadsides in the spring every year. Mechanical damage from snowplows can be challenging to repair, but ultimately this type of repair should take priority in the spring to minimize further damage and prevent erosion of soil. As with abiotic problems, biotic problems in turfgrass can also be grouped into two main categories: general pests and pathogens. Please take a moment to review this figure. General pests in turfgrass include insects, vertebrate animals, and moss or algae-related issues. A majority of the pathogenic problems are related to fungi, often referred to as plant diseases. Other pathogens occur to a lesser extent and may include bacteria, viruses, or nematodes, which are microscopic worms that live in the soil and infect turfgrass roots. By and large, Fungi are the most common biotic issue experienced in roadside turf grasses. Roughly 60 different species of fungi infect turf grasses around the world, although this list becomes much smaller in the northern United States climates. In roadside settings, many of these fungi may be unimportant and not worth the time or money to control. Examples of the most common fungi problems experienced on roadsides would include the leaf spots, rust diseases, red thread, dollar spot, and necrotic ring spot. There are numerous pathogenic species found within each category of viruses, nematodes, and bacteria, although these issues on roadside turf grasses are relatively unimportant. Continuing with biotic problems, some of the more common turfgrass insect pests include white grubs, sod webworms, bluegrass billbugs, and ants. If these pests are observed, understanding the biology and more specifically the life cycle will be most important to execute a management plan. Animal pests such as moles, voles, skunks, raccoons, and gophers all find homes or food by disturbing turf grasses on roadsides. However, control measures are only carried out when a severe issue is experienced. As humans, we often look at issues as they are presented to us. In the case with this picture, the brown and unhealthy turf looks like it may have a moisture issue or general lack of fertility. However, with some investigation, white grubs are causing the problem here, severely limiting root growth in the lawn. They can be found by simply pulling on the leaf tissue, which will easily separate from the soil. This picture shows white grubs at the soil surface causing the turf damage witnessed on the previous slide. Moss and algae problems are generally related to poor soils, where compaction is common and soils are wet. We see moss being more of a problem in severely shaded environments in fertile soils and acidic soils. Algae issues may be more severe in full sun areas on fertile soils. This ends part 1